I find that if a professional has over 10 years of experience, going back to get an advanced degree probably is not necessarily worth the investment, because an MBA is probably going to cost $80,000 to $100,000, maybe even more, depending upon what type of university that you choose. And there are other creative ways to work around this. And most of the time I find that having like real world work experience will oftentimes outweigh having the MBA.
There are opportunities for our work and careers everywhere, if you know where to look. That's easier said than done, especially in our fast-paced and constantly changing world. Marianne Fairmouth is talking to experts, employers, and job seekers to bring you insight and understanding about what's possible. This is Career Can Do, where we're navigating the new work world.
Welcome to the Career Can Do podcast, a podcast dedicated to helping you navigate the new work world. My name is Marianne Fairmouth. I'm an executive recruiter, nationally syndicated columnist, speaker, and today I am just delighted to have a guest on my show that's really doing some wonderful things in the new work world. Post-COVID, as we've all talked about for so many months, things are really different now in the employment world. Sonja Dynamo Price is doing things out there to make a difference. She's a top career strategist, salary advisor, and leadership coach. Her mission is to support professionals to have greater meaning, better work-life balance, and significantly higher pay. She's worked directly with Tony Robbins, trained with Al Gore, to become a climate reality leader, and won an honorable award from the Women's Economic Forum. So, without further ado, and after that incredibly long introduction, help me welcome Sonja Price. Sonja, say hello to everybody.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Marianne. It's such an honor to be on your show today.
We're thrilled to have you, and I'm just delighted to have someone like you on the show because on my side of the desk, the questions I'm hearing, the concerns I'm working with are those that I think you can really help people with. And that's why I wanted to have you on the show. So tell us a little bit about what you do and how you got into it, Sonja.
Absolutely. So I'm a career leadership coach, and I primarily work with mid to senior level professionals. I help them find greater clarity and meaning in their career and ensure that they're really focused on the right types of roles that are fitting for their background, their skill set, and keep them working on the strategic level projects and key initiatives that they really want to be working on to ensure that they're placed in the right roles and that they just have greater overall career satisfaction and meaning. And also a huge component of this is that I usually end up helping people make significantly more money as well. I've actually helped clients make up to $250,000 more per year than what they were previously making. So they were already doing quite well, and now they're basically double their income and doing significantly better.
That's wonderful. So typically, if someone comes to you, Sonja, and they're just really, really unhappy in their job, but they're not sure what to do to move forward, when they work with you, are they enrolled in a certain period of time, or is it a coaching program, or what is the structure of this like?
Yeah, I generally work with clients for up to 6 months, sometimes less, sometimes more. Our goal is to help a client find a new job within 6 months or less. And we're very focused on helping that happen as quickly as possible. And in that time frame, what we're looking to do is really help the client gain very crystal clear direction in terms of where are they going in their career, and then lining up all of the right career branding elements, updating their resume, transforming their LinkedIn profile. We help support with job search and networking. We can help prepare them for interviews. And then we definitely do a lot of support around the overall offer negotiation as well to ensure that people are really maximizing their earning potential and that they can know with certainty that when they've signed on the dotted line and they're accepting a new offer, that they know that they haven't left anything on the table.
Okay. Now, I think in the Blue Room, you mentioned that you had co-authored some books. Talk to us about those. What are those about?
Yeah. So the first book is co-authored. It's called The Pivot Point System, and it helps individuals look at how to create pivots in their life and transformative change across their career, their health, their wealth, and all of the different elements that you want to be looking at to ensure that you have a very holistic and happy and fulfilling life. That's my first book. And the second book is called The Infinite Leader. And that's really about how to have more influence and impact in the workplace, starting with yourself and really knowing what are your own personal values and how does that translate into the work that you do on a day-to-day basis. And then how can you ensure that you're aligned with the right type of organizational culture, the right products, the right service offerings, that you are personally aligned with what you do on a day-to-day basis. So you know that you're making an impact, but also knowing how do you actually have more influence and more power inside of the workplace culture so that you have these infinite leadership capabilities.
Well, that's great. Now, if someone is really not sure what kind of a coach they need, what kind of a process do you go through with them to make sure that you're the right one for them?
Sure. I definitely offer a free consultation, so I'm happy to meet with anyone who's interested in working with me. When you're trying to evaluate, is this coach the right fit for me? Or you're interested in working with me? Like, what are some of the things that you should actually be looking for and evaluating for? First and foremost, I would say, look to see if you have rapport with that person. Definitely look into their skills and qualifications. How long have they been coaching? What else is in their professional background? I myself have over 15 years of work experience, and I worked in a wide range of different roles, including leadership. So I know personally firsthand what it takes to know how to present your professional brand, how to get promoted, how to get raises, and what you need to do to be positioning yourself in the marketplace. You should also be looking at what makes this person different. What are their key differentiators? What kind of customer reviews do they have? Are other clients happy and satisfied with the results that they achieved? So you should definitely see what are the actual results that they've helped other people achieve. And then, of course, you can look at price. Is it within your budget? And I strongly recommend to look for coaches that offer a guarantee as well. So here at Dynamo Careers, we actually offer a 100% ROI guarantee. So any money that you invest into working with us, we guarantee that you will make at least that much or more in your new position. So you will get a raise, increase in your overall compensation, equal or greater to the amount that you invest in our program with us.
That's wonderful. That's a really almost an absolute positive to work with someone that guarantees their work. I've never heard of that before, and that's wonderful. Let me ask you this. From my experience lately, post-COVID, a lot of companies are getting more automated. The digital world is front and center, and people are looking for certain kinds of skill sets now that they didn't look for as much pre-COVID. So if somebody comes to you and they really have an idea, Sonja, of a job that's more digitally inclined, but they don't have the skill set, how do you advise them? Do you suggest that maybe they take online courses, they go back to school? If somebody wants to get into more of an IT position, to say they've been more of a financial kind of person, how do you work with someone like that? Because what I'm seeing when they come to me and want a job like that, they don't have the skill set. My clients won't see them. So if they come to you first and they talk to you about wanting that kind of a future career path, how do you handle someone like that? What do you tell them to do?
Yeah, well, when I work with someone, our very first phase working together is what I call career roadmap planning. So we actually want to sit down and take a very diligent look at what is that individual looking to do moving forward, and why is that? Is it in alignment with their skills and passions? Is it that they want to make more money? Why is that? And then we're always looking to have this, we like to marry the person's background and work experience with the direction that they're heading in the future. And sometimes I find that clients just feel like, oh, I don't have the skill set. How could I possibly qualify for this? But then upon further reflection, they actually do have the skill set. It's more about the positioning of how do we leverage your past-based work experience in order to move in a new direction. because sometimes it's just tweaking the jargon or the language around what you've been doing in the past and how that applies to what you want to be doing moving forward in the future. Then in other cases, sometimes it does make sense to get some additional training. And there's a variety of ways that that could show up. Sometimes it's taking a certification or an online course, just kind of beefing up your skills a little bit so that you can know enough to be able to talk about your capabilities in that area and maybe some similar types of successes that you've had in the past. So when you're in an interview, you want to focus more on selling your capabilities, but you're going to definitely have to back it up with some work success. And you're going to have to know how to tie the dots and tie the connections between those two. So that's something that a career coach like me can definitely help with, because we can help you know, how do you connect those pieces and how do you talk about it in a meaningful and relevant way throughout the interview process. And then in some cases, and I actually find this to be a very rare case, maybe it does make sense to go back and get an MBA or some sort of advanced degree. I find that if a professional has over 10 years of experience, going back to get an advanced degree probably is not necessarily worth the investment, because an MBA is probably going to cost $80,000 to $100,000, maybe even more, depending upon what type of university that you choose. And there are other ways, there are other creative ways to work around this. And most of the time I find that having like real world work experience will oftentimes outweigh having the MBA. The caveat to this is that sometimes you're going to read job descriptions that will say MBA required, advanced degree required, or desired. And you just have to know, how are you going to work around that? And there are creative ways to work around that so that you can get your foot in the door and then be able to sell yourself on your skills and capabilities.
Well, I think that brings up a good point. I know some of the very well recognized leaders of companies these days, like Elon Musk and the people on Shark Tank, they're not really promoting the advanced degrees as much as maybe they were in the past, and they're more experiential learning. The other thing that this makes me think about that's happened to me as a recruiter is sometimes when someone comes to me and they're real negative, and the last 3 jobs, they tell me that they had a horrible boss or they were held back or this or that. I think there's much to be said for helping them adjust their mindset. Because what I found as an executive recruiter is if someone goes in and is real negative on the interview, that's going to make the interview very, very short. So mindset is really important. Do you work with people too, Sonja, and help them? It's not so much sometimes what we say, but how we say it and how we present a situation. Do you work with people on helping them adjust their mindset as well?
Yes, absolutely. That is a core component of things that we work on, and sometimes I have clients who come to me that they have been laid off, or for whatever reason, they have a gap in their work experience. Maybe they took some time off to care for an aging parent or for whatever reason. And so in those types of situations, or even if they've been in a toxic workplace and they're just like, whatever reason, it could be any variety of reasons. I find that a lot of times folks come and, they have a lack of confidence, or maybe they're a little bit cynical based on past experiences. And so that is sometimes right where we start, is helping look at what would make it meaningful and worthwhile for you to pursue this next chapter of your career. Then we start to look at, okay, what are the right fit kinds of opportunities? Because I think that when people get into that negative space, it's usually because they've been in situations that just weren't the right fit for them for whatever reason. So then we need to do that work to identify, well, what is the right fit? And then how can they get motivated in a more confident and clear way moving forward? And then, I find that the mindset is definitely a component of that, but sometimes it's rooted in the core setup of what has been in the past or their fears for the future. And so sometimes we have to break down those fears and help them identify the right opportunities that will help them move forward in a better way for them.
Well, I think in these times, your service is of paramount importance. If they had someone like you before they came to see me, we probably have a much higher probability of placing them. And so I think the service you're providing right now is really necessary and needed. And I'm thrilled to know about you. Let me ask you this too. If someone comes to you and after working with you, they say, I really like your style. And I'm really impressed with the way you've handled me. And, maybe coaching is something I might think about. How did you get into it? I mean, how do you address something like that if somebody is so impressed with the way you do what you do and they want to know more about becoming a coach? What do you say to someone like that?
Well, I think having coaching skills is a really wonderful asset to have, no matter what profession that you pursue. So most organizational leaders should likely have coaching skills to begin with. When someone tells me that they want to be a coach, I'm ecstatic to hear that, because coaches can show up in a variety of different ways. And I have had people come to me and said, yeah, I loved what you did. I've thought about having a coaching business as well. So the things that I like to help encourage people to think about is, do you actually want to run a business? And do you know all of the ins and outs of what is required to run a business? And or do you like the coaching element of things? And are there other ways that you can get that coaching need met? Because in running a business, what I found, having done this for over 10 years now, coaching is one component of what I get to do. And that's like the most exciting thing that I get to do. And there's all kinds of other things like marketing and sales and doing your taxes and all the things that most business owners don't think about when they start the business. So whether you're thinking about doing coaching or consulting, or you want to open an Amazon store, or, whatever it might be, I know a lot of very smart, leadership-driven kinds of individuals, they often think, yeah, someday I'm going to start a business. And I think that's a great aspiration to have. I would just make sure that you're really thinking through all of the ins and outs of what is required to run a business and what kinds of investments you might need to make up front to get that business going. Is it something that will be able to pay you the same kind of money that you're currently making or more?
Okay. All right, great. All right, we're getting near the end now. And I think you've given our listeners a lot of good information to think about. I certainly am hearing much good stuff in this conversation. If we had to leave our listeners with two salient points that really would make them evaluate whether or not they need a coach, what would those 2 points be? If somebody's really on the fence about, do I really need a coach or don't I? I mean, what would be 2 good reasons to tell them to investigate this service?
I would say if you're not clear on what you want to do moving forward in your career, really good career coaches will help you identify, like, what should you actually be focused on in your career? And we can look at that from job title, level, role. We can look at title, role, level, compensation, types of industries and organizations, like the whole 9 yards, and really get crystal clear on what should be your specific decision-making criteria to make sure that your next chapter in your career is really going to be a good fit for you. The other thing I would say is, if you feel like you need help and support with positioning, if you need help with knowing how to feature your skill set in your resume and in your LinkedIn profile, if you need help knowing how to talk about what you do in a meaningful and relevant way through networking and interview conversations, those are some of the key reasons that you might want to reach out to a career coach. If you're going to work with someone like Marianne, who's an amazing recruiter, she's probably going to expect that all of that work has already been done, because once it is, it's much easier for her to place you inside of an organization because you already know exactly what your targets are. You have a resume and a LinkedIn profile that is in alignment with that, and she can have confidence putting you in front of an employer to sell your skills.
Okay, great. So if somebody wants to get a hold of you, tell them how they can do that.
For sure. So dynamocareers.com, DYNAMO, and then careers.com. That's my business website. I'm also very active on LinkedIn, so you're welcome to reach out to me. My name is Sonja Price, and you can just search for me, SonjaPrice. And if you go to my website, I do have a free masterclass that talks about how you can land a position making more money, having more fulfillment, and having better work-life balance as well.
Well, that's wonderful. Well, Sonja, we're just delighted to have you on Career Can Do. And for all our listeners out there, if you're looking for a career strategist, a leadership mentor, or a salary advisor, give Sonja Dynamo Price a call. All her information will be on my website as well. That's Fairmont.com. Sonja, thank you again. We really appreciate you taking the time to be on Career Can Do, and we'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
We thank you for tuning in to our Career Can Do podcast. We make no guarantees on results for your particular quest, but we hope you enjoy the information presented. The views and opinions expressed in this program are solely that of the guest or speaker and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of Mary Ann Fairmouth and Fairmouth and Company. Thank you.